Before you can adopt 50 Amish money-saving tips, you need to understand the mindset that makes these tips work so well. The Amish don't simply cut costs. They live with an entirely different relationship to money, possessions, and time. Their approach starts with the belief that spending should be intentional, not automatic. If something can be repaired, reused, or repurposed, it's worth more to them than something shiny and new. This is why they often treat waste as a resource, whether it's leftover food, worn-out clothing, or scrap wood. One of the biggest money-saving habits is the avoidance of impulse buying. Amish communities typically don't have the constant exposure to advertising, sales, and online shopping that pushes others to buy things they don't need. But even in a modern setting, you can replicate this by building a habit of delaying purchases for at least 30 days to see if you truly need the item. The Amish also rely heavily on community sharing. Tools, equipment, and even livestock are sometimes shared between neighbors or extended family members. Instead of everyone buying their own expensive piece of machinery, they pool resources, which means lower costs for all and less clutter in every barn or shed. This principle can be applied to modern life through tool libraries, neighborhood sharing groups, or co-ops. Their frugality is deeply tied to self-sufficiency. They grow much of their own food, make their own clothes, and build their own furniture. This means less dependence on outside markets where prices are unpredictable. Learning just one skill, like sewing, gardening, or basic carpentry, can save hundreds of dollars a year. Another subtle but powerful practice is buying for longevity instead of price. When the Amish do purchase something new, they choose the sturdiest option they can afford, knowing it will outlast cheaper versions many times over. This applies to everything from work boots to cookware. Finally, the Amish value work over convenience. They would rather spend an extra hour doing something themselves, whether that's canning vegetables, mending clothing, or building a shed, than pay someone else to do it. Over time, this work ethic compounds into massive savings. These mindset shifts are the backbone of every other tip that follows. Without them, frugal strategies become short-lived tricks. With them, they become a way of life that naturally leads to financial security and independence. Amish food production and storage hacks that slash grocery bills. If you really want to understand how the Amish keep grocery costs low, you have to look at their food production systems. For them, the bulk of the grocery store is right outside their kitchen door. Gardens, orchards, and root cellars supply what most people spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on each year. The Amish grow the majority of their produce themselves, starting from heirloom seeds they've saved year after year. This avoids the recurring cost of buying seeds and produces crops that are adapted to their soil and climate, which means higher yields with fewer inputs. They plant large, diversified gardens, rows of staples like potatoes, beans, and carrots, alongside high-value crops like tomatoes, peppers, and herbs. This diversity reduces the need for store trips because they always have something fresh to eat or preserve. One of their strongest money-saving habits is bulk preservation. The Amish don't just eat fresh produce in summer, they preserve enough to last until the next harvest. They water bath can tomatoes, peaches, jams, and pickles, pressure can beans, meats, and soups, dry apples, herbs, and beans, and store pumpkins, squash, and onions in dry, cool spaces. This means their off-season grocery store is a pantry they stock themselves for pennies per jar. Their root cellars are a cornerstone of frugal food storage. By storing hardy crops like potatoes, beets, turnips, and cabbage in straw or sawdust-lined bins underground, they can keep them fresh for months without refrigeration. This eliminates winter produce costs entirely for those foods. Protein sources are also handled frugally. Chickens provide eggs year-round, and surplus eggs are preserved using water glass or pickling brine to last months without refrigeration. When meat animals are butchered, the Amish waste nothing. Bones become broth, fat is rendered for cooking, and offal is used in traditional recipes or fed to livestock. They also rely on seasonal cooking patterns. Instead of buying out-of-season produce at premium prices, they adjust meals to match what's abundant. In summer, meals are heavy on fresh greens and vegetables. In winter, they use stored root vegetables, preserved meats, and canned goods. This not only saves money, but also makes their diet naturally in tune with the seasons. Perhaps the most important habit is that Amish kitchens operate like mini food factories. Work is done in batches, from baking multiple loaves of bread at once to canning 30 jars of applesauce in a day. By scaling up production, they save time, fuel, and effort while building a pantry that could feed the family for months. For a homesteader, adopting even a fraction of these practices can shrink your grocery bill dramatically. And just like the Amish, you'll be eating food that's fresher, healthier, and truly yours. Amish clothing, household and repair habits that save a fortune. Amish frugality extends far beyond the garden and into every corner of the home, especially when it comes to clothing and household goods. For them, the motto is clear: use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without. This philosophy drives a set of habits that keep expenses shockingly low while ensuring nothing goes to waste. Let's start with clothing. The Amish rarely buy ready-made garments from stores. Instead, they sew the majority of their clothing at home, often from fabric bought in bulk or handed down from other families. Patterns are reused for years, and garments are designed for durability, not fleeting fashion. Clothes are maintained through constant repair, buttons replaced, seams reinforced, hems let out for growing children. It's common for a dress or shirt to have been worn by multiple siblings before being cut down into smaller pieces for younger children. Once clothes are no longer wearable, the fabric is repurposed into quilts, rags, or even braided rugs. Shoes are another big saver. Instead of replacing them at the first sign of wear, Amish families resole and repair footwear multiple times. Some communities have cobblers who handle this service for a fraction of the cost of new shoes. Household items are treated with the same long-life mindset. Furniture is built from solid wood, often by the family or a local craftsman, ensuring it lasts for decades instead of years. If a chair leg breaks or a drawer warps, it's repaired, not replaced. Amish homes are filled with items that have been in use for generations, each one a testament to careful upkeep. Appliances, where used, are simple and easy to repair. Instead of discarding something that stops working, the Amish troubleshoot, salvage parts, and even adapt other tools to keep it running. This not only saves money, but also means they aren't locked into constantly buying the newest model. They also practice careful inventory management. Every item in the home has a designated place, which makes it easy to keep track of possessions and avoid buying duplicates. When something is truly worn beyond repair, it's stripped for reusable parts, screws, fabric, wood, or metal, before the rest is discarded or burned for fuel. For a modern homesteader, adopting even half of these habits could save hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars a year. It's not just about avoiding purchases, it's about getting the full lifespan out of every single item, then giving it a second or even third life before letting it go. Amish transportation, fuel and energy savings. When most people think about saving money on transportation, they focus on cheaper cars or fuel-efficient models. The Amish, on the other hand, have built an entire lifestyle that slashes transport and energy costs to a fraction of what modern households spend. While not every aspect can be adopted directly, their principles can be applied to dramatically reduce expenses without sacrificing practicality. The most obvious difference is that many Amish communities don't own personal cars, avoiding one of the biggest ongoing costs in modern life: car payments, insurance, fuel, and repairs. Instead, they rely on horse-drawn buggies for short trips and hired drivers for longer distances, a pay-as-you-go system that avoids fixed monthly bills. For those outside Amish culture, the lesson is to minimize vehicle ownership where possible. A single reliable vehicle shared by a household, instead of multiple cars, can cut costs on insurance, maintenance, and fuel. Fuel savings extend beyond vehicles. Amish farms are designed for work to be done close to home, so travel is minimal. Gardens, livestock, and workshops are all within walking distance, reducing the need to use motorized equipment for routine chores. This principle can be applied by placing frequently used areas of your own property within easy reach, reducing the need to drive for everyday needs. When it comes to energy, the Amish are experts in passive design. Homes and outbuildings are positioned to take advantage of sunlight, wind flow, and natural shading, which means less need for artificial heating or cooling. In greenhouses, barns, and workshops, they rely on natural ventilation, thermal mass heating, and strategic insulation to keep temperatures stable without electricity. They also excel at fuel diversification and conservation. Wood is the primary heating fuel for many Amish homes, and they collect it themselves from their own land or community woodlots. They burn it in high-efficiency stoves that double as cooking appliances in winter. Kerosene lamps, propane refrigerators, and manual hand tools replace energy-hungry electrical devices. For those outside the Amish community, simply swapping out high-energy appliances for lower-demand versions, or combining functions into fewer appliances, can slash utility bills. Home heating, cooling, and lighting on a budget. When it comes to home utilities, the Amish live by a principle that most people overlook. Every degree of temperature and every hour of light should be produced in the most cost-effective, resource-efficient way possible. Their homes are living examples of passive comfort and low-cost operation, even through harsh winters and scorching summers. Heating in Amish homes often begins with wood, not just because it's traditional, but because it's renewable, locally sourced, and can often be gathered for free from community woodlots or farm maintenance. They use high-efficiency wood stoves that not only heat the home, but double as winter cooking appliances. This means they're cooking meals and heating the house with the same fuel source, cutting costs in half. Firewood is seasoned and stacked a year in advance, ensuring cleaner burns, less smoke, and maximum heat output. In addition to stoves, Amish homes often employ passive solar heat gain. Large, south-facing windows let sunlight pour into living spaces during winter, with floors and walls made of materials like brick, stone, or tile that hold on to that warmth and slowly release it after dark. At night, heavy curtains or quilts are drawn over windows to prevent heat loss. For cooling, Amish homes rely heavily on shade and airflow instead of air conditioning. Houses are built with wide roof overhangs to block the high summer sun while still allowing low winter sun to enter. Deciduous trees are planted strategically to shade windows in summer but allow sunlight through in winter. Inside, cross-ventilation is created by opening windows on opposite sides of the home, allowing breezes to move freely. Porches and summer kitchens keep cooking heat out of the main living areas, preventing indoor temperatures from climbing. Lighting is often handled without connecting to the electrical grid. Kerosene lamps, propane lights, and even homemade candle lanterns are common. These light sources are used strategically, only where and when needed, instead of keeping entire rooms lit unnecessarily. Many homes incorporate reflective surfaces like polished metal or mirrors near lamps to amplify light without using more fuel. During the day, the Amish rely on natural daylight, with houses designed so windows allow maximum interior brightness. The underlying money-saving principle is clear. Maximize free natural resources first, and only use purchased energy as a supplement. For the frugal homesteader, this might mean heating with a combination of sunlight and wood, cooling with shade and airflow, and lighting with efficient targeted sources rather than flooding a whole house with electricity. These habits not only save money every month, but also make the household far more resilient to energy price spikes and outages. Amish shopping, bartering, and bulk buying strategies. For the Amish, shopping doesn't mean endless browsing in big box stores or scrolling online catalogs. Their approach is rooted in intentional purchasing, direct trade, and collective buying power, which keeps costs low and ensures money is spent only on items that truly matter. One of their most powerful money-saving habits is buying in bulk. When they do need store-bought goods, flour, sugar, salt, fabric, hardware, they purchase them in large quantities directly from wholesalers or co-op suppliers. This slashes the per-unit cost, cuts down on packaging waste, and reduces the number of trips to town, saving time and travel expenses. Bulk purchases are carefully stored in cool, dry spaces like pantries, basements, or sheds, ensuring nothing goes bad before it's used. They also rely heavily on bartering. In Amish communities, it's common to trade goods and services instead of paying cash. A family that bakes bread might exchange loaves for fresh milk from a neighbor, or a skilled carpenter might trade furniture for meat or produce. This eliminates the need for cash transactions entirely while building stronger community bonds. For non-Amish homesteaders, participating in local farmers markets, swap meets, or skill trade groups can mimic this system and bring the same benefits. Another frugal tactic is buying directly from producers. Instead of paying retail prices at grocery stores, the Amish often buy or trade for goods straight from the source: grain mills, butcher shops, or other farms. This not only avoids middleman markups, but also ensures they're getting fresher, higher quality products. They're also masters at avoiding unnecessary purchases by repairing, repurposing, or making what they need before considering a store trip. For example, if they need storage shelves, they'll build them from salvaged wood rather than buying new. If clothing is needed, they'll sew it from bulk-purchased fabric instead of buying ready-made garments. This mindset flips the modern habit of chasing low prices. They aim for low lifetime cost, not low sticker price. By combining bulk buying, bartering, direct sourcing, cooperative purchasing, and durability-focused shopping, the Amish keep household expenses incredibly low without sacrificing quality or abundance. For a frugal homesteader, adopting these habits can slash your spending while deepening connections with your community. Amish entertainment, leisure, and family life on a budget. One of the most striking differences between Amish life and modern life is how little money they spend on entertainment. This isn't because they lack fun. It's because they've built their leisure time around connection, creativity, and community rather than expensive outings or electronics. By rethinking what fun looks like, they manage to enjoy rich social lives at a fraction of the cost most people pay. For the Amish, family-centered activities are the heart of entertainment. Evenings might be spent playing board games, card games with plain decks, or simply talking around the table after dinner. Outdoor activities like softball, volleyball, or ice skating on frozen ponds are common, and they require almost no money once the basic equipment is in place. These gatherings aren't limited to the immediate family. Extended family and neighbors are often involved, turning leisure into a shared experience rather than an isolated one. They also make celebrations simple but meaningful. Birthdays, weddings, and anniversaries are marked with home-cooked meals, handmade gifts, and gatherings in community halls or barns. There's no catering bill, no expensive decor rental, and no costly venues, just food, music, and companionship. The money that could be spent on flashy extras is instead invested in quality ingredients for the meal or materials for lasting, useful gifts. A big part of Amish leisure is productive hobbies. Quilting circles, woodworking projects, gardening, and baking contests all double as skill-building activities that produce something useful. These hobbies don't just pass the time, they create items that can be sold or gifted, making them a form of income-generating entertainment. The Amish also embrace outdoor living as a free luxury. A Sunday afternoon might be spent walking in the woods, fishing in a pond, or picnicking in a meadow. These simple activities cost nothing but provide fresh air, exercise, and time to connect with nature. Even their approach to music reflects frugality and community spirit. For a modern homesteader, the takeaway is clear. You don't need a budget for constant shopping trips, vacations, or pricey events to have a rich family life. If you fill your leisure time with low-cost, skill-building, and community-centered activities, you'll spend less, deepen your relationships, and live more meaningfully.